Yep. Okay, we're live. Let some people start getting in here and talk about the white bass. See if I can get this thing to not do that this time. The focus keeps going in and out, and I'm trying to get it to stop, but it won't. All right. We got a couple people in here. Talk about some white bass. That autofocus is just absolutely freaking obnoxious on this thing. All right, we'll get a few more people. We'll keep getting some more people in here before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of the white bass on Salt River. A lot of frustrated people down at the river today. And rightfully so. It was a tough day for white bass fishing. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it, because I met a lot of people today who watch our show, which is really awesome. And there was many frustrated, some grumpy frustrated, some okay with it frustrated. So I wanted to kind of talk about our take on it, because it seems like we're doing everything we can, and we're hitting up and taking home limits of white bass. And there's a lot of people out there who are not limiting out or not really filling up their stringers. So we want to talk about that for a minute and then give you all an opportunity to ask some questions, and we'll answer them. I guess the first thing that I want to go over is today was a tough bite. I think that is a contributing factor. Originally, I thought maybe they started pulling water out of the dam unexpectedly, because it seemed like things were kind of good this morning, and then they kind of died off. So I thought maybe they started letting out at the dam, but I looked and they really didn't increase any output of the dam at all, because when they do that, it has a very good tendency to shut the bite down real fast. So I thought maybe that was it. That's not it. So I just started looking at a little bit further. I mean, we just had some rain, which, like I said, the run's only about, I think we're at like that 90% mark. We just need that extra little nudge to get them just all flowing in and hungry and fighting for feeder fish, so that they'll just basically bite anything you throw in front of them. We're almost there. It's still not a full-on run. We were catching fish during the spawn last year and the year before, all the way to the end of April. So, I told you earlier videos, I was thinking mid-April. Well, we're getting there. So give it time. But we've had a real successful couple of days. We limited out yesterday and the day before, and then I limited out this morning, and then we went back this afternoon. And this morning was tough. I really had to work for that limit. And we went back this afternoon, took out the Devil Dog and Connor again, and we caught, but I think we caught like 7 or 8 in total, only 2 keepers, and it just didn't pan out. I mean, we were on an elevated bank fishing and you could see, I had my polarized glasses on, you could see, I mean, excuse me, almost every cast, a white bass would come up and roll it, but just would not commit to the bite. So they're there. They're there, but something was pushing off the bite, and based upon everything that I can look at, I mean, we did have some rain. Let's see, Tina Thornsberry, howdy from Knott County. What's up? I mean, we did have some rain the other day, but it didn't make a major impact. It barely changed water levels. It didn't, change clarity, conditions of the waters, or anything like that. So that wasn't it. We did have a chill night last night. We had a front come through, and then we got another front lingering over, bringing storms tonight. So we're wedged between 2 really quick fronts, one of which dropped the temperature below 50 degrees last night. So I think the weather has a play in the game, along with the amount of people that are fishing down there. These fish are seeing, I mean, last year there wasn't nearly the amount of people down there fishing the white bass as there is this year. And the year before that, you could actually go on the weekend and you might see one other truck in the parking lot. And that was in 2017. So the popularity of the white bass run on Salt River has substantially increased. So there is a theory that the amount of people fishing it are starting to push the fish off. So I want to talk about it a little bit, how we've been successful, what we've seen, questions we've been asked while we're out on the river. We'll try and answer those. Thanks for everybody that asked to take a picture with me. That was awesome. It's always nice meeting the people who watch our shows. But anyway, so let's kind of go over everything, and we'll go from there, and then we'll try and answer some questions if I can catch them as they roll across the screen. We had no luck on Salt River this afternoon. Had to work this morning. The people are crazy. It is, and I'd say 98% of the people that we run across down there mention us in our show. So, not to toot the horn or brag or be overzealous, but I think our show and the coverage of the White Bass Run has had a significant impact on the popularity of and the amount of people down there fishing it. That upsets some people, it doesn't others. We are about educating and getting more people out doing and enjoying the outdoors, especially those resources available to them here in Kentucky. So we're going to continue to provide information. We saw a lot of kids down there with their parents. That's awesome. We took our kids. So that's the whole point. I said it in season 1. The White Bass Run's about community. At least that's from our perspective. Dallas Daughtry had no luck here. To my expectations were way too high or not even. I missed it. Turkey was acting crazy. The crappie bite wasn't any better on the main lake. All right, so we have hyped it up accurately. It's just not a full-on run yet. But you also have to follow certain things. You have to, you just can't get out there and throw a bait and expect to catch them. I mean, you'll catch. But if you really just want to go bonkers crazy, I mean, you kind of got to learn and practice, and that's why we've been trying to provide some information. I mean, you've seen it. We brought home limits. Day before yesterday, and yesterday, more than one person in our crew. I mean, we got 6 limits sitting in coolers right now. So we did it in less than an hour. In fact, the first day I limited out in 45 minutes. So that's why we wanted to do this video and try and help people understand exactly what we're doing, and you can try and mimic it to the best of your expectations. So the first thing I want to talk about is the reel setup. All right, guys, here's what we use. We use the Lew's Laser MG bait casting reel along with the Lew's Laser MG rod, 7-foot medium heavy. That's what we use. This is exactly what we use. We usually take 2 or 3 with us, set up with different baits, and then we kind of switch baits out as we have to, or in case we bird nest one. Does this sound like overkill for the river? Yes. Is it overkill for fishing the white bass in the river? No. No, it's not, and here's why. The river's not super wide, but it's wide. And there's channels that run in the river and usually from the access of River Road, the channel's on the other side. To really work the fish through and target your currents and everything out that, to get the type of baits we're using as light as they are, all the way across the river to the other side of the bank, which the guys who were watching me day before yesterday living out in 45 minutes realized that I was catching fish on the other side of the bank in the channel. This setup and this rod allows us to launch these smaller baits clear across. I mean, granted, we've had a lot of bait caster practice. Not everybody can go out and pick up a bait caster and make that. But your best option is to be able to get that bait out as far as you can possibly get it. And that's hard to do with a spinning reel or the light mini cast setups with these light baits. Thank you for sharing all the info. I love following you all. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate it. So now we've talked about our rod and reel selection, and it may seem like overkill. I mean, we've had to really adapt in the river, using a 7-foot medium heavy action rod with the bait casting reel, but it's what we use. I mean, and we've used bait caster reels every year with 7-foot rods because we can really whip and snap that. You watch our videos, you'll hear me whip and snap that bait, and every time it'll plink on the other side of the river. Last year, the year before, not just this year. So you got to get that bait out there. And with the current, you got to play the current. Cast to the left so that as you bring the bait in, it usually lands right in front of you by the time you bring it back in on the bank. So now let's talk baits. First stage of baits is the Freaky Franks, okay? This is an awesome white bass slay it, and I know a lot of you have went out and got these, but they're also fantastic crappie and trout baits, guys. But they will kill the white bass. And I mean, they are this nice little, if it'll focus in. Now it won't focus when I need to focus. But they're super cool, and they work, and they go on 32nd ounce jig heads right here. David, yes, covering a lot of water is a big portion. Even though there's millions of them in there, the more water you cover in any fishing scenario is the better. So here's the 32nd ounce jig heads for them, and they also have their own floating bobber setup, and that's what we do. We use the bait on a 32nd ounce jig head with a bobber system. You don't have to use Freaky Franks, but it's definitely a lot better because they're clear, less detectable by the fish, and they function better. But other bobbers will work as well. Now that worked with us on the first day in combination with the next bait that we're going to show you. The Storm Swim Bait. This is a 2-inch, 1/8-ounce Storm Swim Bait by Rapala that is black with an internal reflective panel and a chartreuse tail. I've been screaming that since season 1. This bait with this particular setup and this particular color is a white bass slayer. And using the combination of those two is how I limited out in 45 minutes on my first limit. Okay? Well, we go back for our next sets of limits, and guess what? We can't get a bite. And this is what we do, guys. You know, we work up and down the bank. We really focus on the deep pockets between rapids. On the edge of the deep pockets between the rapids. Not necessarily the deep pockets or the rapids, but the edge of them where it starts grading off into a deeper pocket. Whether that pocket takes up the whole width of the river or not, there's one area where we're at the Cherry Hole where right in front of you is shallow, to the left and to the right is rapids, but kind of like a donut in the center is a deeper pocket, and we kill there, okay? So look for the deeper pockets between the riffles or the rapids, whether it be a full-size pocket from shore to shore or not, it doesn't matter. That's something you want to look for, okay? And cover the water coming across the edge of the riffles and the deep, and they'll come up out and they'll bump it. But we couldn't get anything on the Freaky Frank or the Storm Bait going into round 2, so we couldn't figure it out. Well, one of the other things we do is we switch up baits. If they stop biting one bait, we switch to the next. Our next go-to is a little Berkley red-eye shad, 2-inch, 16th ounce. And again, these are light baits, guys, but with this setup of the medium-heavy 7-foot action Lew's Laser MG rod and reel, with bait casting practice and tuning, we can whip these things all the way across to the other bank. And that is key and crucial. Okay, so we limit it out again using that. Okay, then we go back this morning and I started off with what worked the day before, the little Berkley white red-eye swim shad. And part of how we fish them, so I'm like, well, okay, I know they were hitting it. Let's start changing up our tactics. You change speed. You're either reeling real fast or popping real fast. Or you're kind of giving some jerks like a jerk bait, real slow, jerk, 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 you know, real slow. You're changing your tactics of how you actually finesse the bait. Or sometimes you just pop, 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 let it sink, which is hard to do in the shallow water with the rocks. I know. These are sinking baits, not top water. But you change your tactics because sometimes they like you to move the bait fast and quick and sporadic, or a combination of slow and sporadic, or just slow reel altogether, and you've got to kind of trial and error all those because it does change. I mean, we can be mid-fish and have to change how we're maneuvering the bait to get them to strike. So that's something you need to take into consideration as well. Throwing contact 2.8s in Eastern Tennessee this week. So the next thing, I start switching it up with the Berkley bait this morning, and I'm not catching. I'm having a hard time, man. I'm having a super hard time. I catch 2 on this, and I'm like, something's wrong. Something's absolutely wrong. Maybe I need to try yet again another bait. So we have 2 different types of baits that we use. These are the last in our white bass arsenal. Is we use the little Rapala broken back. That's right. I mean, tiny little booger. Tiny little booger. And it stays on the top of the water, and we just twitch it and let it float. Twitch it, let it float, reel in slack, twitch it, let it float, as like acting like it's dying. And we do the same thing with, you know, like a 2.5 inch chromish reflective colored jerk bait. We do the same thing with it, more of like a suspending one, twitch like it's dying. So I tried that, and boom, I limited out this morning. Had to work for it though. It didn't happen in 45 minutes to an hour. It happened in about 3.5 hours. So the conditions had obviously changed, but my bait tactics allowed me to limit out. So this afternoon we went back and we took Connor, and the Devil Dog wanted to go. It's his first opportunity to go white bass fishing. So we immediately go back, and actually I try all these baits again. Just because. That way I can provide the information. Wes Harrod, you going after them in the morning? No, man, I'm not, because it's supposed to thunderstorm and rain like crazy all day tomorrow. So no. And that rain is going to impact what happens. After it rains, I'd lay off for a couple days. Once the levels come back down and the water and the river's not rushing so hard, but it's started to calm down, but still a little murky, that's when we want to go back out after them, and it's going to hit hard this coming weekend. It will. The rain's going to bring them up again, and it's just going to go back to being awesome, and it'll be that 100% run, and we'll start catching more fish. But anyway, so we went back this afternoon, and we were only able to catch 7, 2 of which were keepers, which you saw the Facebook post for this live feed that was announced earlier. And basically what we used was, we went through all the baits again, but what we were able to catch on was these, jerk type baits, the Rapala broken back, and then the short 2.5-inch jerk bait with the chrome side on it. Dwayne Blair, where is Salt River? Salt River is a pretty long river actually, but the portion that we're talking about is just at the basin of Taylorsville Lake off of US 44, 1579 between Spencer, Anderson County around the Mount Eden, Kentucky. We are talking about the River Road WMA public access fishing area. West Herod, Taylorsville Lake headwaters. Yep, pretty much. That sums it up in a few quick words. So, we struggled, but what was really crazy about this evening is that I actually, instead of being down and, standing on a tree or something down below or some type of a log closer to the base of the river, I actually fished from a high bank and put on my water goggles here, and I went and basically was able to see what was going on from above as I was fishing and the devil dog was fishing. And I mean, almost every cast, and I mean almost every cast we made, and we made a lot of casts, a white bass came up and just rolled the bait, but would not take the bite. So they were fidgety, and I'm blaming it on the fronts that are coming through quickly and the storms that are on their way and the cold dip we had last night from that original front. So let's let the rain come in, bring up the water levels, murky them up just a smidge, then let it calm down, and let's go back out and slay them. I've given you the rod and reel that we use, why we use it, and where to put the bait, where to look at in the river to start looking at the fish to know where to put the bait, and an arsenal of different types of baits that are successful for us, and they are. We've got a ton of footage, and we've already posted a ton of pictures of our limits, and they haven't taken us very long, so I'm sorry that a bunch of you are getting frustrated. We are providing all the information we possibly can to replicate, so that you can replicate what we're doing and also our success. So a lot of you down at the river watched me fish on how I was twitching and everything. If you see us out there, hang out, watch us fish, and see what we do. Just don't get upset. We've been doing this. This is our 3rd year now of covering this on Outdoors in the Bluegrass. We spend a lot of time out at the river this time of year prepping, and we've had a lot more practice, but it doesn't mean you can't get out there and catch fish. Just hold your patience. It's a-coming. It's a-coming big time. What do you think about using lipless crankbaits for largemouth during the bedding and spawn? Lipless crankbaits? If you can get them to smack it, yeah. My only concern with the lipless crankbait is that, when I'm bed fishing, it takes a lot to get that female off the bed. Now, the male swimming around guarding it, you might be able to pull a lot of males out as you swim by, and he tries to scare you off thinking you're an incoming fish. Probably catch a lot of males, but if you want to get the big females off the beds, you've got to be, it's like hitting a bullseye. You got to keep the bait in the strike zone. You've got to basically tick the mama fish off, making her think you're a danger to her eggs, and she'll snatch you up, and that's how you get it. So I like using a lot of white baits, Texas rig or shaky head or wobble heads, like white lizards, white crawls, white flute, paddle-tail flukes, and it looks like a lizard or a minnow eating her eggs, and you can see the white easily disappear. So that's my recommendation for bass fishing off of the beds. Anybody got anything else? That's pretty much it, guys. I know it's frustrating. I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go to bed, but you can limit. I promise. We've proved it. It's just we keep providing you more and more information and as many details as we possibly can so that you can hopefully replicate what we do in our success. I see a lot of people the past couple of years walk out there with limits just as easy as we do, so it's coming, guys. Just be patient. Let this rain get through, let things stabilize. It's still early. It's still early. And I know it's hard to hold your anxiety back. Okay. I don't see any more questions coming in, which I'm surprised, but that's okay. That focus is killing me. I wish I could stop that, but I can't. So if you're getting dizzy from the focus going in and out, I apologize. All right. Quick rundown before we head out. You can limit out on white bass. Today was a tough day. I'm blaming it on the fronts that have come through and are coming through again to kind of shut the bite down because we've proven they were there. We visually saw them hitting our bait over and over again tonight. They just wouldn't take it. Lose Laser NG bait caster and 7-foot medium heavy action rod combo because it lets us get the way we got it set up and the amount of practice we've had with bait casters. We can get these light baits all the way across the river where they need to be and cover more coverage. Cover more coverage. That's funny. Freaky Franks, ffcustomtackle.com. Once you're done with white bass, go slay the crappie, trout, and pretty much any species in the water with these. It's awesome setups. And watch some of our footage from Season 2 and the promo we did for Freaky Frank. You'll see some underwater footage of how it swims. And, it's successful. There's no doubt about it. That's why we love them and use them. We don't go out with a rod that doesn't have a Freaky Frank on it, period. And a lot of you down at the river bought some, so I think that's awesome, and you would definitely not be disappointed. One dude was like, dude, that is a crappie magnet, and I was like, I know, I've been trying to tell everybody. The Storm swim bait, this very particular 8-ounce Storm swim bait with the black stripes, the reflective paint on the inside, and the chartreuse tail. It's very important that you have that color combo. There are other combos of color that do not work. The next thing is the little 16-ounce 2-inch Berkeley red-eye shad swim bait. Must have. Get you a Rapala broken back. Get you a couple. You don't want multiples of all this because you're going to lose some in the trees and the rocks, period. It's just going to happen. So don't just go out there with one because when you're catching fish and then you lose it, you're going to be mad. You're going to be so mad. Okay, so there that, the Rapala broken back. And then a 2.5-inch reflective chrome. You can mix in some blue and black, but you need some crowed sides on this thing. And you fish those, the Rapala in that like dying minnows. And with the swim bait, you can just swim them slow or pop them. You just kind of have to feel what the fish are biting and kind of go through the motions of trialing and error until you get a bite. All right. Patrick Worley, you ever going to kill a turkey? I don't know, man. Maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. We need to talk about it. Let's do that. Let's talk about it. Maybe we'll get Logan or Connor to kill a turkey. I think that'd be more cool. Don't you? Get one of the boys to kill a turkey instead of Dad. I do enough. I kill the deer, catch the white bass. They need to contribute. So we'll get one of them to kill a turkey. Chris, yes. What about Guggen baits? Lunkers TV uses them for bed fishing. What's your thoughts? My thoughts is I've never heard of a Guggen bait. Sorry. Turd baits, TRDs, Ned rigs, stuff like that would also be good. Basically anything you can bounce to intimidate the female bass to make her think you're harming her nest or eggs that you can clearly see disappear. That's bed fishing. Bobbleheads, shaky heads, Texas rigs. That's jigs. Strike zone it. Y'all have an awesome channel. I want to give a shout out to Chad Preston back. I get to talk to him almost every day. He's helped me out a lot this fishing season. That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it. And we try and provide as much information as we possibly can. We got a lot of people in the crew and our family, and we've got friends that join in on us like Chad and Patrick and some of the field staff guys that we had last year do our deer attractant and minerals. Some of them, we were able to invite a couple out on a white bass update the other day, RJ and Landon. We met up with Jeremy Davidson and a couple of the guys at Academy. So, it's always, we got a growing crew, but it's all about family for us. And season 3 is about to launch. You're getting ready to see. Patrick says I'll get you on them. Sounds good, man. Let's talk about it tomorrow. We'll get Logan to kill a turkey. But no, I forgot what I was talking about there. I did forget what I was talking about. Oh, season 3. First episode will be airing next weekend. and then we'll, it'll be 24 episodes. We'll continue to air these short videos and stuff about a certain, all kinds of different stuff throughout the year. But we'll have 24 episodes for season 3, and the first episode is going to be awesome. It's going to have a lot of cool stuff in it. You're going to see some white bass stuff in it. But it's also got a prologue in it about the outdoors in general and our point of view of them. So season 3, episode 1 is a must-see, and it's coming out in a week. So bam. It's going to be a lot of fun this year, and we are so happy that everyone, everywhere we're going now, people are recognizing and saying hi and asking us questions and asking for pictures. It's very humbling, and it just, for us, it just means that we're reaching people, and it means something, and, we're able to do what my brother wanted, and it helps us get to do a lot of cool stuff as a family, and stuff that we probably would have never done without the show. I know there's a lot of stuff that we do. The white bass run, it's what the show motivated me to go out there and kind of look into it a little bit more. So there's a lot of things we've done that without this show and the motivation of my brother's wishes that we would have never done. So it's cool. But I'm gonna sign off. So I got another question. Have you ever been to Deer Creek Lodge in Sabree, Kentucky? Have not. Sure haven't. Never even heard of it, to be honest with you. So, shoot me a message if you got something interesting you want me to know about that place or do. And we're going to go ahead and get off here, guys. I'm exhausted and tired, and I'm going to bed. I'm going to do some fish frying with the fam tomorrow and enjoy it's supposed to rain all day. Last weekend, I think it rained on Sunday, and we stayed out in the garage and grilled ribs and brats and everything. Well, tomorrow, white thunderstorms and rains, we're going to stand out in the garage and clean fish and then fry them. That's an idea. All right, good night, everybody, and keep your patience with the white bass. I've given you all the information I can possibly give. And thank you, guys. And thanks to everybody that we met out in the field, the past couple of days who've asked about Connor and the hook in his arm. Y'all watch our stuff. It's awesome. I appreciate it. Good night from Outdoors in the Bluegrass, baby.